Right now, as you listen to this, you are probably slouching.
I mean, statistically speaking, it's almost a guarantee.
Yeah, exactly. And if you just caught yourself, felt a little guilty about it and forcefully pulled your shoulders back to, like, sit up straight.
Oh, the classic military posture
All
correction.
right, well, you actually just made things worse. So, welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We are taking a look at a rather unexpected document today. It's this guide outlining the internal mechanics and skeletal stability in Zazen, which is Zen meditation.
Yeah, and before you assume this is all about burning incense or, chanting on a mountaintop, the mission of today's deep dive is incredibly practical.
Unbelievably practical. We're exploring a physiological concept from this text that honestly flipped my entire understanding of the human body upside down.
It really is a complete paradigm shift.
It is, because this document claims to have the blueprint for constructing a sitting posture so mechanically perfect that it requires literally zero muscular effort.
Zero, which is wild to even think about.
Right. And by doing so, it supposedly unlocks this incredibly lucid, clear state of mind for you.
Because the core premise here challenges the entire modern conception of what it means to sit upright. I mean, we are taught that true posture is a visual aesthetic, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're supposed to look like a soldier at attention. Chest out, chin tucked.
Exactly. But this text argues that visible form is actually irrelevant. True posture is entirely about internal mechanics.
It's invisible.
Right. It's a highly specific understanding of what invisible structural forces are working inside you and exactly where the massive weight of your body is actually being supported.
Okay, but I have to stop you there before we go any further. Because zero muscular effort, that sounds, well, physically impossible.
I know, it sounds like magic.
It does. I mean, gravity is a constant downward force. We are soft tissue and bone. Unless you're lying completely flat on the floor, some muscle somewhere has to be working just to keep you from becoming a puddle on the chair.
Well, it sounds impossible to us because we equate upright posture with muscular tension. Think about what happens when you try to sit with quote-unquote good posture.
Oh, I immediately suck my gut in.
Right. You suck your gut in, you pinch your shoulder blades together, you clench the muscles in your lower back to force that curve.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
You are basically weaponizing your superficial outer muscles, the ones right under your skin, to hoist your entire skeleton upward.
It feels like a workout. And usually within 10 minutes, my back is burning, my brain gets totally foggy, and I just collapse right back into slouching over my keyboard.
Because it is a workout, and honestly, it's a highly destructive one. The source text highlights a severe physiological warning about this habit of ours.
Destructive how?
Well, the superficial muscles you're using, your lats, your traps, your outer abdominals, they are biologically designed for explosive movement.
So like running or jumping?
Exactly. They exist to throw a punch, or pull yourself up a branch, or quickly twist your torso. They are absolutely not designed for the continuous isometric load of holding up an 80-pound torso for 5 hours at a desk.
Oh, wow. So we're using the wrong tools for the job.
Completely. When you force them to act like structural beams, they go into spasm.
They just lock up and scream for mercy. I mean, I feel that every day at 3 p.m.
Oh, for sure. But they do more than just scream. All that clenched tension acts as a physical blockade.
A blockade?
Yeah, those spasming superficial muscles literally clamp down on your neural pathways. They compress the capillary beds, severely restricting blood flow.
Wait, really?
Yes, particularly the oxygenated blood that is trying to make its way up to your brain.
Okay, that is crazy. So by trying so desperately to have good posture and white-knuckling our way through it, we are actually creating our own brain fog.
Exactly.
We are physically strangling the conduits that allow the nervous system to communicate. I mean, we're starving our own brains of oxygen just to look like we're paying attention in a meeting.
That's a great way to put it. You're fighting a war against your own body weight, and you're using the wrong troops.
So how do we call off the war?
Well, the text outlines a specific internal process to stop it completely. The goal is to release all that superficial muscle tension and shift the entire burden of gravity onto the skeletal structure itself.
Because bone is designed to bear weight, right?
Exactly. Bone bears weight, muscle moves it. But to shift that burden, you cannot start by pulling your shoulders back or lifting your chin.
Right, because that's just using more outer muscles.
Yes, you're building an architectural structure here, and you have to pour the foundation first.
Okay, so if using my back and stomach muscles is the wrong way to hold myself up, how do I actually build this foundation? Because the text mentions this concept of standing up the lower abdomen.
Yeah, that's step one.
It talks about bypassing the six-pack muscles and engaging the deep muscles, specifically the iliopsoas, to establish a vertical axis from the pelvis up through the lumbar spine.
which is the lower back.
Right. But here is my struggle with this. I know how to flex my bicep. I know how to squeeze my glutes. How on earth do you consciously engage a deep core muscle that you can't even feel?
It's tricky at first. It requires a total shift from thinking about flexing to thinking about anchoring.
Anchoring.
The
Okay.
iliopsoas is this massive, deep muscle group.
Hmm.
It is literally the only muscle system that directly connects your lower spine to your legs, running deep through the bowl of your pelvis.
Wow, okay.
So you don't engage it by sucking your stomach in, which, by the way, actually destabilizes your core.
I always thought sucking it in was how you engaged your core.
It's a huge myth.
Mm.
You actually engage the iliopsoas by finding your sit bones. Those are the two hard, bony points at the very bottom of your pillow.
Of the ischial tuberosities?
Look at you with the anatomy terms. Those are the ones. Most of us sit rolled way back on our tailbones, which rounds the lower back.
The classic slouch.
Right. Or we overcompensate and roll way too far forward, arching the back aggressively.
The superhero pose.
Exactly. The text directs you to roll the pelvis until you are balancing directly on top of those two bony points, almost like plugging a two-pronged plug into a socket.
So you're finding that exact center point.
Yes. When you lock those sit bones straight down into the chair, the pelvis becomes completely neutral. And to keep it there, without tensing your outer abs, you imagine your lower abdomen, basically the space below your belly button, dropping heavy and expanding slightly outward, not pulling inward.
Expanding outward. That feels so counterintuitive. So it's almost like, well, think of a skyscraper.
Okay, I like a good analogy.
You don't hold a massive building up by pulling the exterior glass panels incredibly tight, right? You'd shatter them.
No, absolutely not.
You rely on the steel core that is driven deep underground. So by dropping the weight into the sit bones and engaging that deep iliopsoas, I am essentially setting the deep concrete pylons of my own structural core.
That is a perfect way to visualize it.
Mhm.
And once that concrete pylon is set deep in the bedrock, the exterior glass panels, your superficial muscles, don't have to do any load-bearing work at all.
They can just chill out.
Exactly. The physiological result of anchoring that pelvic and lumbar axis is immediate. Because the skeletal base is finally stable and holding the weight, the nervous system sends a signal to your outer superficial muscles.
The ones in your lower back and stomach that were previously burning in agony.
Yeah, it literally tells them they can finally switch off.
The tension just evaporates. It's like you unkink the hose at the base of the faucet.
The neural pathways from the pelvic floor up through the lumbar spine open up completely, just because that muscular vice grip has been removed.
Okay, so my concrete pylons are set. My lower back is relaxed. But I have a problem now. I am incredibly top-heavy.
We all are.
I mean, my rib cage, my lungs, my heart, my shoulders, that is a massive amount of weight just hovering in the air. If my back muscles are totally relaxed, won't my chest just collapse forward into my lap?
That's the logical next question.
What prevents the upper half of the building from crumbling?
This is where we move up the chain to the second mechanic. The text describes this as transferring the center of gravity, or what it calls mounting the solar plexus.
Mounting the solar plexus.
Right, the solar plexus region essentially correlates to your thoracic spine, the middle of your back where your ribs attach.
I read that phrase, mounting the solar plexus, and honestly, it sounds a bit mystical. What does that actually mean in terms of physical geometry?
It's very physical, actually.
Because the source is very explicit about what not to do here. It heavily warns against forcefully thrusting the chest out. Again, chest out, shoulders back is the universal advice we've all been given since grade school.
And, as we're learning, it is biomechanically disastrous. Think about the physics of thrusting your chest forward. Your lumbar spine, that solid pre-line you just built, is a vertical column.
Right.
When you puff your chest out, you are taking the heavy mass of your rib cage and dragging it forward off the vertical axis.
Oh, so I'm pulling the balcony off the front of the building.
Exactly. And the moment that heavy mass crosses the center line and leans forward, my superficial back muscles have to instantly fire up and grab on, otherwise I would literally face plant onto my desk.
So you've instantly ruined the foundation we just built in step one.
You've ruined it. To avoid this, the text uses a very specific and kind of beautiful verb to describe the correct action. You must entrust the weight of the rib cage to the upward vector coming from the lumbar pillar.
Entrust. Wow, that is a psychological hurdle, not just a physical one.
It really is.
We are so conditioned to believe that Maintaining our bodies requires active, aggressive work. Letting go, surrendering the weight, it feels like we are giving up.
It requires a massive leap of faith in your own skeleton.
So how do you physically entrust it?
Imagine your lumbar spine as a sturdy vertical column of blocks, and your rib cage is a heavy woven basket.
Okay, I can picture that.
You need to place the basket on top of the column. If you center it perfectly, you do not need bungee cords or tight ropes holding it in place. You simply entrust its mass to the solid structure underneath it.
So I am taking my rib cage and simply draping it over the top of the lumbar spine.
Exactly. Draping is a great word for it.
I'm not lifting it. I'm not squeezing my shoulder blades together to pin it back. I'm just letting it rest heavily on the axis.
And when you do that, the front of your chest should feel soft. The physical strain in your upper back drops away.
I can literally feel my breathing change just thinking about this.
Oh, your breathing deepens immediately because you aren't stretching the intercostal muscles, the ones between your ribs, into a tight drumhead. The skeletal structure of the thoracic spine is managing the downward load of gravity, and the muscle tissue is merely going along for the ride.
Okay, so the foundation is set from the pelvis to the lumbar spine. The heavy basket of the rib cage is perfectly draped and entrusted to that foundation.
But we aren't done yet.
Right, because we are still not done. Balancing at the very top of this entire column is the human head, which is not exactly light.
Not at all. The average human head weighs between 10 and 12 pounds, is roughly the weight of a bowling ball.
A literal bowling ball. And the text calls this final step achieving the perfect equilibrium of the head.
Which is step 3.
And the specific mechanical adjustment to get there is referred to as cervical retraction. You have to adjust the apex of the spine to support the skull using the entire skeletal structure.
Yes, the cervical spine is your neck.
Now, I really want to clarify something critical here, because when people hear they need to fix their neck posture, their first instinct is just to tuck their chin into their throat, like giving themselves a double chin.
Right. Chin tucking is a very common and very painful misinterpretation.
Why is it so bad?
Because when you simply hinge your chin downward, you are violently flexing the cervical spine forward. You are essentially doing a crunch with your neck.
Oh, ouch.
Exactly.
Sure.
This places immense unnatural strain on the suboccipital muscles at the base of your skull and the trapezius muscles running down your neck.
It's basically the text neck posture we all have from staring at our phones all day, just compressed.
Yeah, and if a 12-pound head moves forward even an inch or two off the center axis, the torque it creates is exponential. It suddenly feels like 30 pounds of pressure on those poor neck muscles.
So what is cervical retraction then if it's not a chin tuck?
It's an entirely different movement. Instead of hinging the chin down, you want to imagine sliding the entire skull and neck horizontally backward in space.
Horizontally backward, so it feels almost like if I have a broomstick standing straight up and I am trying to balance a heavy bowling ball on the very top of it,
Right.
if that ball is leaning even slightly toward the front, my hand holding the bottom of the stick has to grip incredibly hard and fight like crazy to keep the whole thing from snapping forward and crashing to the floor.
Your hand is doing all the work.
But if I slide that bowling ball back, adjusting it millimeter by millimeter until the heavy center of the ball is perfectly, precisely aligned over the vertical line of the stick, suddenly the ball feels weightless.
It's a perfect center of gravity.
The massive effort required to hold the stick upright just vanishes.
That is the exact physiological payoff described in the text. When you retract the cervical spine, sliding the skull straight back until the ear canal aligns directly over the shoulder joint, the muscular load on the neck completely vanishes.
Wait, really? Those thick neck muscles that are constantly tight, constantly throbbing at the end of the workday? They just power down.
They literally have no reason to fire anymore. The bony column of the cervical spine is now bearing the entire 12-pound load.
That is incredible.
And when those neck muscles power down, the final restriction is lifted. I mean, think about the anatomy of the neck. It is the major highway for your body.
Oh, right. Everything passes through there.
The carotid arteries, the jugular veins, the vagus nerve, the spinal cord itself, they all pass through this super narrow bottleneck.
And we spend all day with that bottleneck tightly squeezed by spasming muscles.
Exactly. When you achieve that perfect equilibrium, you remove all the mechanical static from the system. You stop pinching the hoses.
So everything just flows better.
The result is optimal, unimpeded blood flow to the brain, and an uncompressed spinal cord transmitting nervous system signals flawlessly.
The source material actually claims this creates the clearest possible state for the nervous system. It is honestly fascinating how a purely structural adjustment, literally just sliding a bone back a few inches, can completely dictate the chemical and electrical reality of the brain.
It really forces us to view the mind and the body not as two separate entities, but as a single, continuous pressure system.
Okay, so let's look at the ultimate synthesis of all this. We have built the internal linkage from the ground up.
Right, step by step.
The lower abdomen and pelvis are locked into the lumbar spine via the deep iliopsoas. The heavy solar plexus and rib cage are entrusted to that lower foundation.
The basket on the column.
Yep. And the 12-pound bowling ball of the head is fully retracted and balancing perfectly on the apex. What is the cumulative reality of connecting all three of these points?
Well, the text refers to this culmination as the ultimate reality of skeletal stability.
Ultimate reality. Very dramatic.
It is. Because when the cervical, thoracic, and lumbar points balance perfectly over the pelvic floor, a profound shift occurs in how the body relates to gravity.
The shift how?
You transition from needing muscular effort to fight gravity to actually using gravity to lock your skeleton in place. The posture becomes entirely self-sustaining.
Self-sustaining, meaning the act of sitting is just maintaining itself. I am not actively doing the sitting anymore.
Exactly. The geometrical alignment of the bones is holding you up. The structure is doing the work, not the tissue.
There is a claim in the text about this ultimate reality state that I honestly had a hard time wrapping my head around at first.
Which one?
It states that once this specific skeletal structure is fully ingrained and linked up, it is actually harder to intentionally break the posture than it is to maintain it.
It completely defies our normal experience, doesn't it?
Completely. We are so used to posture being this fragile, exhausting thing that collapses the second we stop intensely focusing on it.
Right.
If I stop thinking about holding my shoulders back for even a second, boom, my spine turns into a wet noodle and I am hunched over my laptop.
But in this state of perfect equilibrium, slumping actually requires active muscular effort.
Wait, to slump, I have to work.
Yeah. Think of a perfectly balanced spinning top or a tightly stacked column of heavy stone blocks. To break that perfectly stacked column, you have to actively push it off its center of gravity.
Right.
When you are in this self-sustaining state, your muscles are totally relaxed. To slouch, you would have to intentionally contract a stomach or chest muscle to yank your heavy bones out of that perfect balance.
I would literally have to work to ruin it. So the heavy fatigue, the burning between the shoulder blades, the general exhaustion we associate with sitting at a desk for 8 hours, it just ceases to exist because there is no muscular fight happening.
Exactly. And this brings us to why a document about Zazen meditation is profoundly relevant for you, the listener, right now.
The ultimate takeaway.
The text explicitly points out the practical application here. This specific skeletal stability is what prevents slouching during incredibly long periods of sitting.
So it's not just a technique for a monk sitting on a cushion in a monastery.
No, not at all.
It is the biological cheat code for the person staring at a spreadsheet or writing code or sitting in back-to-back virtual meetings all day long.
Exactly. When the physical strain on your body drops to absolute zero, you are no longer expending hidden cognitive energy managing your body's discomfort.
Cognitive energy, I like that.
Your brain is not constantly processing low-grade pain signals from a strained lower back or a tight neck or restricted breathing.
All of that background processing power is suddenly freed up. It's like closing 20 open tabs on your web browser that were secretly draining all your computer's RAM.
That is precisely the mechanism by which this posture allows you to sustain a highly lucid and clear state of consciousness. You are no longer distracted by the physical effort of merely existing in a chair.
Wow. It is a complete paradigm shift regarding what it means to be comfortable.
It really is.
So let's do a quick recap of the mechanics, because this 3-step internal linkage is something you can literally test out the next time you sit down.
Let's do it.
First, you build the foundation, you find your sit bones, drop the weight of your pelvis, and engage those deep iliopsoas muscles.
Setting the concrete pylons deep underground.
Right, so the superficial back and stomach muscles can stop fighting and completely relax.
Establishing the solid vertical axis from the pelvic floor all the way to the lumbar spine.
Then second, you transfer the center of gravity. You don't puff your chest out or squeeze your shoulders like a soldier.
No chest thrusting.
You softly entrust the massive weight of your rib cage, draping it over the upward vector of that lumbar pillar, letting all the tension in your upper body just melt away.
Surrendering the mass to the skeletal structure below it.
And finally, step 3, You establish the perfect equilibrium of the head. You do not just tuck your chin.
Please don't text neck yourself.
Right. You physically retract the entire skull backward in space, centering that heavy bowling ball perfectly over the broomstick until the neck muscles completely power down, opening the floodgates for blood flow to the brain.
Achieving that self-sustaining ultimate reality, where gravity locks you into place and your posture holds itself up effortlessly.
Effortlessly. So my challenge to you is to really try this. The next time you sit down to work, run through these internal mechanics, stop clenching your superficial outer muscle.
Let them go.
Stop holding your breath and trying to look like a superhero. Stop fighting gravity and see if you can find that precise alignment where you let your skeleton do all the heavy lifting, allowing your muscles to rest entirely.
It takes some patience to locate those deep internal forces at first, but the physiological and mental payoff is profound.
Truly profound.
And honestly, it leaves us with a highly provocative thought to mull over. We have just explored how achieving perfect skeletal balance naturally creates a highly lucid state of consciousness, simply by removing physical tension and optimizing blood and oxygen flow to the brain.
Right, removing all that mechanical static.
It forces you to wonder. When we experience that heavy daily brain fog, or a sudden lack of focus, or that intense mental fatigue that hits at like 3:00 p.m.
The dreaded afternoon slump.
Exactly. How much of that isn't actually a brain problem at all?
Oh, wow.
Are we, in our desperate, tension-filled attempts to sit up straight and force our way through the workday, literally strangling our own thoughts with our posture?
Are we strangling our own thoughts with our posture? That is a terrifying but incredibly empowering thing to consider the next time you catch yourself hunching over your keyboard. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us. We will see you next time.